The Fujicast is an independent Loading Zone production.
Kev, it's wedding season. It's upon us.
'Tis the season to be merry.
Is there? I think there is a season for us now because we go very, very quiet. So December 31st comes along, then boom, nothing. It's tumbleweed until May.
Yeah, I had a bit busy December, and then I didn't have anything on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
I don't think so. 21st, I think, was my last one. And then, I've done one. I did one in April.
Yeah.
And then, it starts again this weekend, at the beginning of, practically the beginning of May, although it's the end of April for me, 30th.
I've got a booking this coming week that I'm sure I've got the wrong... we've probably got it the wrong way round. You've probably got mine, I've got yours, because I've got a wonderful couple. And it's... I know you do, but I don't do entirely for the entire wedding documentary often. It's not often that I mean, usually at some stage somebody's going to say, can we do a group shot or some couple shots? And that's fine because that's what I do. But I've got one this week that said, Neale, absolutely no way are you to ask us or anybody else for a group shot. And I thought, hang on, has Mullins got the wrong booking? Have I got his? He's got mine.
Yeah, no, it's good. It sounds like they are flipped because I've got 3 group shots on mine, but mine's on Sunday.
Oh, right.
But it's I'm doing 10 a.m. till 1 a.m.
Think of the money.
The Fujicast,
as they say. That must set you up until next April then. Don't have to do any more. And then you go on holiday, Kev.
I shall say thank you to the government for my relaxing year during the local elections.
Oh, I see. I was going to say who needs to earn money. Not Kev. Oh, I don't know how you afford that massive new mansion you've got and that Sunseeker that's parked just outside Malmesbury Marina.
Our house is getting more difficult because, as you know, it's a tiny chocolate box cottage and the kids are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's like, Rosa wants to move to like a big house, and I'm like, no, because in 2 years I'll move. We'll get another 20 years added on the mortgage, and then you'll move out and you'll meet a spotty kid in 2 years' time, farmer or something, and go and live in his farm. And then I'll be left with a 20-year mortgage while you're buggering around this spotty farmer boy.
What a strange life you've got woven for her. Right, welcome to the Fujicast. A couple of weeks has gone round, and we've got your questions to answer that you've sent in either via Facebook or via the email. The email address actually is click@fujicast.co.uk, and I'll say it slowly, click@fujicast.co.uk, because we've got a sort of empty-ish mailbox. I might be leaning on you for your Facebook stuff this week, Kev.
Yeah, we'll do our usual threat. If you don't send us stuff, we ain't coming back. But you can also remember, go to the website, fujicast.co.uk, and just fill in the form. That will also get to us.
I think that threat now is like, what's that? What was that? A wolf in sheep's little red Rumpelstiltskin.
Wolf in red clothing. No, wolf in sheep clothing.
What was that one? No, Cry Wolf.
Cry Wolf.
It was from Star Wars. That was the one.
Yeah. What's the time, Mr. Wolf? Do you ever play that with the kids?
No.
Used to terrify Albie.
What's the time?
What's the time, Mr. Wolf? Yeah, brilliant. They would go and stand by a tree and with their back to you, and then everybody else would have to creep up to them as close as possible. And as soon as they turn around, they'd say, "What's time, Mr. Wolf?" And basically the person who got the closest to them would win.
Oh, I do. I do remember that. Blimey, Kev. There's a memory.
Life out of Albie.
Oh, did it frighten the life out of him?
Yeah. Most things did.
How is he, Albs? Because I know, let's not talk about football too much because it bores the living daylights out of a lot of people, particularly people that aren't necessarily living on these shores. But poor Albs, I know he's got his red top of Arsenal, and now,
in fact, he's, he's depressed about the football. But however, as this show goes live, 'twill be his birthday, his 12th birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Raise a glass. Is he old enough yet for a little bit of... Little sniffle?
No comment.
Has he had a sniffle?
No, he hasn't. He does like root beer, though.
Does he? My grandma, my dad's mum used to have this amazing wartime house. It would never change since World War II, and it stopped at 1945, I think. Nothing was. I don't think the electrics were replaced. It still had the old Bakelite 2-pin. What, Neil? Surely not. Yes, it did. I'm sure it did. It had a shored up under the stairs. It was shored up with railway sleepers because my grandma couldn't bear to send Dad away in the evacuation. And so he used to sleep like Harry Potter under the stairs during the Blitz because they were in London.
Brilliant.
And then they had this sherry cupboard. Grandma had a sherry cupboard.
Oh, I love sherry.
See, I don't think I've had a bottle of sherry in this house for many a year. Do people still drink sherry?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm not sure if many people do drink it, but I like it. I like a sherry.
But when I
like it in a half-pint glass.
That's not the way you're supposed to drink it, Kev. When I was Alb's age, Grandma used to say, come this way, your mum and dad won't find out. We used to go to the sherry cupboard, and she had a few glasses in there. It was like a little pantry, and she'd close the door, she'd pour out a little thimble of sherry. Here we go, son, have some sherry.
You know, sherry makes your hair fall out.
Oh, is that what happened? Oh, Grandma, I'm looking up in the air now. It's all your blooming fault. If only I'd not drunk those thimbles of sherry, I'd have full locks like the Mullins. Right, we got to thank, first of all, pick-time.com, as always, for their wonderful support for this show. If you show your work online to clients, whether you're a wedding photographer, a portrait photographer, even a commercial photographer, this is a
photographer, pet photographer,
sherry photographer,
photographer of sherry glasses.
Yeah, then this is a great website to use to show your work, to sell your work. You can also sell albums through it. Kev sells his family through it.
Yeah, and you can do the blogging. And actually, there was an interesting question popped up on the not in the official question thread, but it's worth mentioning it because the question was, because obviously PickTime now allowed you to do blogging, which is beautiful and very nice.
Yeah.
And the question was, what happens if and when you decide to cancel your PickTime subscription and you've got like 50 blogs that you've written and they're embedded in Squarespace or something?
Good
or WordPress.
point. Yeah, good point.
It was a very good point. So I tagged Arga, who is in our Facebook group, who works for PickTime, and she quickly came to the rescue and said that should that be the case, you can pay a nominal fee to PickTime, which is just $12 for the whole year, to keep your blogs online, which you can either do that forever, keep your $12 going and keep your blogs online, or that would at least give you time to migrate your blog posts across elsewhere should you be moving platforms. So
that is amazing. $12. And
you thought of everything.
They have, haven't they?
Yeah.
And they have not got greedy about everything.
No. What I like most about PickTime is that they give us money for talking about them on the podcast. No, it's great. And I'm actually looking forward to weddings kicking off properly so I can start doing my blogs.
Yeah. Oh, because you're gonna utilize that blog thing, aren't you, through them? You're gonna do your normal Squarespace blog, which is the one that the public see, he says, making you sound like the royal family. And you're going to do the private blog, the PickTime blog, which will be for your clients' eyes only.
Exactly. So I'm looking forward to cracking. I'll let you know how that goes. And don't forget, everybody, you will get 1 month free, which I think is a perpetual month, from using the code FUJICAST, all uppercase. Yeah.
Right. Questions. Do you want to dig into Facebook first?
I will, yes, because we do have quite a few on Facebook, which we over the previous months that we can dig into.
I'm relieved.
So, as is now my tradition, I will start with the latest one to be added, which is 1 day ago from Tom Verhoeven. And actually, this is Tom clearly didn't listen to last week's episode or 2 weeks ago, because he says, curious what you guys made of the Pentax monochrome camera, because that was what we talked quite a bit about, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
So in summary, Tom, go and listen to the previous episode and then you'll find out.
Is that it? Is that the way you're going to answer that?
That's my answer. No. Yeah, so actually it'd only just been announced then, hadn't it? But I've seen some reviews and everything of it now, and I did see something, whether it's true or not, that so there's two things that I picked up. The Pentax monochrome camera came about because Pentax asked their user base what they would like them to do next. And that won. Pentax monochrome won, so they went off and did that. And then I also read somewhere, which I find quite hard to believe, that it's the fastest selling Pentax ever. but that may or may not be true. So take that with a pinch of salt. But yeah, it seems to be doing very, very well. And I really hope ears at Fujifilm are listening very carefully, because I do, and I've always said this, that I believe there is definitely a space for a good monochrome sensor in the Fujifilm camera range.
Right.
Would be quite niche, because obviously Fujifilm are known mostly for their colors, but I think it would go. I'd buy two. For that
well, we've also there's a good, strong client base, isn't there? Stronger than Pentax's client base, he says, wincing through his eyes. Probably, I would think.
Yeah, I would guess so. Who knows? Maybe Fujifilm will use the Pentax model as a benchmark just to see how it goes.
I've just had a notification, Kev. I'm very excited. My 16 to 55 millimeter lens is arriving. We could have a bell ringing any moment.
What are you going to use that for then?
For my, the shots that you don't like to do.
All right.
I won't, here's a hint. I won't be using it for the first one. First wet.
Yeah. There's no rush for it now.
Yeah, I'll send it back. No, I just need...
Do you not have the 16mm lens, though?
No, I like the zoom element of it for two reasons, really. For filming, and that's really handy. I like the fact that I can remain wide open on it through the range, which is important to me. And I think it will be... it's not really more expansive than an 18 to 55. We're talking not much difference, but... I know it's not image stabilized, this particular one, but that doesn't really matter so much anymore, because the camera's image stabilized itself, isn't it? Mm. What happens, by the way?
If you have a stacked stabilization like a lens and a camera, it will be a little bit better. But to be totally honest with you, at 16 to 55, you don't need stable. If it was, I don't know, 200mm or something, then in your hand holding it, then stabilization a bit more, isn't it, more relevant?
I'm still slightly I'm not sure that I know you love it, but the 18mm focal length for me, I don't know whether I'm quite there with it yet. I'm so used to shooting 23mm 35 in old money language, well, whatever money language you want to call it, but I don't know whether I've got used to slightly wider thing. But you love it, don't you?
Yeah, I love it. That 18mm is lush.
Yeah, it is. It's a wonderful lens.
Love it.
You're saying hang on to it and work with it a bit more, aren't you? That's what I'm reading.
Well, I mean, some things work for you, some things work for me. There's no... Sorry, I'm just putting a hard disk on the floor. What? There's no... it'd be a boring world if we were all the same.
That's true.
Your mileage may vary, as they say,
as the
way
Mullin,
too often.
As the Mullin says. So if the doorbell rings, that'll be why. This is not so much a question, but I thought this was, thank you so much for letting me know about it, Phil. And I don't know, let me find out the date. Here we go. What do you think's happening on the 5th of July, 2023? It's a bit UK-centric. But it's a story that I think is worth repeating. What do you think happens? 4th of July, we know what happens. That's a big day, obviously, for many people around the world. But 5th of July, what happens on the 5th of July, Kev?
I'm trying to think. No idea.
75 years of the NHS.
Oh, and who have you got to thank for the NHS? The Welsh.
Oh, really?
And Aaron Bevan invented the NHS.
Of course it was, wasn't it? Yeah. I don't know why I said
so indirectly, you can thank me. On the 5th of July, I will expect presents.
What would you like, Kev, for the 5th of July?
Some sherry.
I don't know why I sounded surprised that the Welsh were behind the NHS. I didn't mean it to sound like that. It was something I didn't know.
They are generally useless at most things, they got that bit quite well, quite right.
Kev, you're Welsh. You shouldn't say that. But no, this is the...
I can say that then.
This is the bit I thought you might like. I'm going to read it direct from the NHS 75-fujifilm.com address. As we celebrate the 75th birthday of the NHS, we want to recognise the extraordinary dedication of the staff and those who work or volunteer alongside them, who make the NHS what it is today, the institution that our fellow citizens say makes them proud to be British. NHS England, in partnership with Fujifilm, has launched a photography competition to celebrate 75 years of the NHS. Competition's an opportunity for staff and volunteers to share, through photos, their unique stories across 5 categories. Now, I won't go across any more, because now what we'll simply do is put a link on the website. I don't know if the links are working nicely through the app as well. You'll notice.
I think so.
Yeah, you'll notice they've been popping up. I know that Google still seem to have some sort of weird issue with hyperlinking everything where other people seem to be able to. I don't know why. but we'll persevere. And I'll put a link up there, and you can join in. You can get involved and enter the competition.
Excellent. What are the prizes?
5 cases of sherry. There we go.
Yay! That's it. I'm entering.
What does it say? Prizes. Oh, yeah. Each category has 1 overall winner and 14 highly commended photographs exhibited at the Fujifilm House of Photography in London. So I can't find the other prizes here.
Oh, there'll be some.
A night out with Mullins. Oh, blimey.
That's good. That's nice. That's a good hookup. That I like that. Nice story. I wasn't aware of that.
No, nor was I. So thank you so much to Phil Ferris for sending that in, and he's a Fujifilm shooter. So he says he's got his thinking hat on right now because he'll be entering. Right, yours.
Mine. Right. Robert Lyskowski.
Right.
Remember Robert? We had him a few weeks ago. Hello again, he says. I'm choosing a monitor. Choices seem to be endless. What's your approach to picking a monitor, and what would be the criteria? Resolution, size, color gamut, hardware calibration, brand in question mark. Some people focus on the photo gear and end up editing photos on a laptop or only on a tablet, or even worse, an all-purpose office monitor. If you would see such a person, would you apply some of your jiu-jitsu black belt goodness?
Well, I use
not jiu-jitsu, it's judo.
It's judo, yeah. I use 2.
Judo is grown-up jiu-jitsu.
Oh, don't start a fight. I use 2 monitors myself. I've got the BenQ 27, which I think you have as well.
I got a 32, but yeah.
I got 32. I've got a little paddle here, which I don't think either of us properly use. And you can calibrate that easily enough. And I also I've got a brand new MacBook Pro 14, powered by the mighty M2 Pro chip, which is faster than a fast thing from FastFill. And I have to say, its colours, when I put it side by side with the BenQ when it's calibrated with inverted commas, pretty strong.
Yeah.
But what do you use the 32 BenQ?
So, well, first of all, to answer that question about, should you be using a decent monitor for editing
yes,
colors and stuff like that?
Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I do know some people who just use a laptop, and whilst it's fair to say I've done that myself when I've been on holiday and various things like that, I always kind of come back to my color calibrated monitor and kind of double check it all before it kind of goes out. So yeah, I think that is important. I have the BenQ, but I also have a Dell 40-inch curved monitor. The sexy model number is U4021QW.
But that's not necessarily it's what, sorry?
Ace.
But that's like my laptop, not necessarily built for.
No, it is. This is a £1,700 monitor. It's got hardware calibration and all sorts in it. So yeah, it is nice, but I like it because it's really wide and I can basically do whatever I want. And to that end, my BenQ monitor is actually in Albie's bedroom.
What?
So I did have it and I did use it for a long time.
You've got a 32-inch BenQ professional monitor in Albie's room, specifically made for playing games.
Yeah, it's great.
Now.
He literally only ever plays FIFA though, and it's amazing, I have to say. It is literally like watching Match of the Day without all of the arguments. Anyway, that aside, though, so the one I'm looking at right this very second is a Dell UltraSharp 40 curved WUHD monitor. Right. There we go. Sexy names.
Do you you put your windows in lots of different places now across that screen?
Yeah. It's all over. And I also have a little tiny. Well, I say tiny. It's like a 12.5-inch.
Try and complete the sentence now.
Accessory monitor, I suppose. Okay. Only like 120 quid off Amazon. It's called ARZOPA, and you just plug it in by USB. It's not color. It's not even 4K. It's just HD. And that's what I stick when I'm watching judo throughout the day or YouTube or whatever. I stick that on there. So I can just crack on with the work.
So you have a monitor for judo.
Albie's got a monitor for FIFA, and I've got a monitor.
Are you sure you've not won the lottery? God, dear. I don't want to seem like I'm picking a fight here, but you're going to say you don't remember anyway. But years ago, I remember you being, and it was years actually. It was BC. It was before COVID. You used to look at my monitor here and say, "I don't get you people with a Mac. Why you put your windows all over the screen? Why do you do that? And you're now doing the same. Mind you, you've got a great
No. I remember that, and I still have that confusion. What I don't understand is why on Macs people never seem to have their windows maximized. Like if I'm only using one thing, so right now I've got the Facebook questions thread open in Facebook on a web browser, but it's maximized,
right?
Because that's the only thing I'm using. So I would only use multiple windows next to each other and stuff. If, like, when I'm doing my accounts, for example, I need my little Access database and my QuickBooks open, and I have them side by side. But what I don't understand with, and it seems to be a Mac disease, I don't know, but people never seem to have their windows maximized. They're always a little bit not touching the edges, which gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Does it? And especially if
is your window maximized now?
No, it's not.
Yeah, see?
And it's slightly to the right, and a bit of it has disappeared off the corner. That would drive you mad, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Oh, right. Okay. Was that the question? Have we?
Yeah. So basically, So essentially, Robert, I would, if you're a professional photographer, definitely look for, you want something that's the ability to calibrate it for sure, whether that's hardware or whether you use a third-party tool. Size-wise, I would suggest at least 32 inches personally. 27 may work. I mean, do you find that 27 is okay for editing on, or is that one you use typically for other stuff?
I mainly use my 27 actually and I don't do a lot of it at the moment, for grading film color.
So what about your photo editing?
Photo editing I mainly do on my laptop, but it's not unusual that I may run a pass across this 27 just to make sure nothing really weird has happened.
So is 27 the biggest size you've got in terms of monitors?
Yeah.
Okay. So 27, if it works for Neale, then it will be good enough. But I think I would find that a little bit too small personally. Good resolution is important. Calibration is important. Yeah. And make sure it's just decent. You don't want to, I would say that you're not going to be spending £200-300 on a professional monitor. You're going to be spending several £100 at least if you want a decent one.
Here, have we got time for one before we speak to Mr. Whisper? This is that's quite an involved one. So let me try and find a less involved one. Mark Bagent, I am binge listening to your catalogue of podcasts, and you ask for questions for the show. We do, reasonably often. So here goes. He's got two. Well, he's called them both one. Anyway, one. Are Fuji files converted to JPEG better quality from Fuji X Raw Studio? I'm guessing that it's too clumsy for a heavy workload, but I only shoot small numbers of images now. I'm still using my XT2. Because I've seen no reason to upgrade it. There's plenty of people still use XT2s. That's for sure. Go on, Kev. Well, what do you think?
Well, I don't understand the question. Is it better than what?
Are Fujifilm files converted to JPEG better quality from Fuji X Raw Studio?
Well, so if the question is, are they better than the JPEGs directly out of the camera? Then the answer is no, they're identical.
Yep.
Because X-Raw Studio sends the image back to the camera to process it. So they're identical. X-Raw Studio is an excellent tool, actually, but you're quite right. You probably wouldn't be editing a whole wedding or anything on it. No. But it is an excellent tool, totally free as well. But if you're saying, are they better than JPEGs exported from Lightroom? I don't know. I've never really done a test on it. I mean, it's going to be more accurate in terms of the film simulations and stuff. You'll regardless what anybody says, you will never get a JPEG out of Lightroom or Capture One or anything else. Even if you're using the Adobe profiles, that is identical to the JPEG out of the camera. You just won't. It'd be very close. Some people may not be able to tell the difference, but you won't get it as close. So my answer would be no in that case, just in terms of the look and feel. But quality, in terms of JPEG is a compression standard, so quality-wise should be the same, assuming you're exporting at 100% from Lightroom.
Are you shooting your weddings now JPEG? Are you editing from JPEGs or because I'm sure we've had a conversation about this. I have slept since then, obviously, but I thought you'd gone back to shooting or rather editing from JPEG files, or am I wrong?
No, I'm doing RAWs now because I use my presets, don't I? So they're RAWs. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I have been going through all my archives and digging out random pictures and stuff, and there was a whole period of time where I only shot JPEGs.
Yeah.
and so there is no existing raw files.
And what's
But
your
yeah,
thought?
for the
What's your
last-
thoughts? Do they hold up?
Yeah, they're fine. As you often say, we're not brain surgeons, we're wedding photographers. We don't need to be producing 10 billion inches wide, super fine, detailed images. So JPEGs are fine as long as you're confident with getting your exposures right and you're happy with the film simulation that you're picking. Then yeah, absolutely. I still shoot JPEG for all my personal work, street photography, all of that kind of stuff. So but weddings, no, I'm shooting raw and using my presets to edit.
Mark has a question number 2. I may have asked you this before, but my memory's a little duff since being in a coma. I didn't know that, Mark, about you. I've retired from a 40-plus year career as a photographer, shooting a mix of lifestyle and architecture. My initial training was at the Joint Services School of Photography. I'm considering offering photo walks and talks to beginner photographers on a paid basis. Do you have any tips for doing this, and how would you market it? I'm thinking of using Facebook local groups, maybe Instagram perhaps, an own website, maybe PicTime free version, and social media. I tell you what, there's so many different platforms you could use. Where would you even start with a new business these days? I'll
tell you what I would suggest, which I think is really good, is I would use Eventbrite to set up your event.
Yes.
And that way, Eventbrite will then advertise on your behalf. And you'll often see stuff popping up in Facebook and things like that in your local area. That it happened to me. Just literally a very good example. An Eventbrite thing popped up in front of me on Facebook. Gemma doesn't use Facebook, but she's an artist, paints and all that kind of stuff. And a thing came up on Eventbrite, an advert in Facebook, or a sponsored ad, I should say, in Facebook for a life drawing class that was in Malmesbury. And so I said to Gemma, "Oh, did you know there's a life drawing class in Malmesbury?" And she said no, and I sent her the link, and she signed up, and she went off to a life drawing class. And and so I think Eventbrite for things like that is amazing.
Why don't you use it?
I am thinking about using it, actually. I have to say that the challenge for me, the reason why I haven't used it for my workshops is A, I'm not doing that many of them at the moment, but B, also from a stock management point of view, it's quite tricky.
Right.
So, if I put a workshop out and I only have 8 people on my workshops, and then 8 people sign up on Eventbrite and 8 people sign up on my website, within roughly the same period of time, I haven't had time to take it down off my website, then that's a bit of a challenge.
Oh, it is, yeah.
So that's really it. But if you're only using Eventbrite, then that would be all right. So I would look at Eventbrite for you, and that's very localized as well. So
Facebook is a good idea as well, Mark. I think if you're going to add a social on there, Facebook is the one that. Now, we've had many conversations about Facebook advertising, but you can drill down and use it reasonably well to target particular sectors and demos. And I think that would be a good way to also go forward.
But you'll pay for it if you're using targeted ads.
Yeah, you will.
You'll pay quite a lot. And if you've only got if these are small photo walks that I'm guessing you're not going to be charging hundreds and hundreds of pounds for, then it might be a little bit overkill. But potentially, we don't know what your plans are.
He did say tips for doing this, and if you mean by that what you would teach during your photo walks, I know you've got some reasonably a good background with your Joint Services School of Photography training, but in terms of going on a photo walk, and I run a photo walk podcast, and I've been considering doing photo walks as a workshop-y experience as well. It's difficult to know what to teach or what to workshop on a photo walk, don't you think, Kev?
Yeah, I mean,
Is it street? Is it landscape? Is it a walk? Is it beginner information?
So I do have some kind of pretty strong views on this. So I think there's a very big difference between a photo walk and a workshop. So my workshops are workshops, although we do do a lot of walking. But I'm not basically just taking people around nice places and saying, there you go, take some photos of that. They are workshops, and people come, and I always say to them at the beginning of the day, don't forget, this isn't a watch shop, it's a workshop. And so, they're shooting. But a photo walk, such as the ones that like Matt Hart used to do and all that kind of stuff. I mean, he would charge, but only a nominal fee because, he did really good ones. He would, he knew his routes. He would take people to landmarks, and, he would take them at the right times of the day when the light's nice and everything, but he wasn't teaching them how to take photos. So there's the difference, I think. Photowalk is more of a, guided tour, but I don't think they should be marketed as an educational thing. I think that's more of a workshop.
I'm with you, but with the caveat that just because it's experiential doesn't necessarily negate the opportunity to also learn. But best of luck, Mark. We'd like to hear back about your photo walks, understand how you've made them a learning experience as well, if that's what you're going to do. Right. We met Mr. Whisper a few weeks ago, didn't we? Part 1 we had from Mr. Whisper. Part 2 coming up now, where we learn about a book, about his relationship with Fuji, many things, and this idea of carrying your office on your back, which is an expression I very much like. Part 2 then of our chat with Mr. Whisper. When you know a city so well as you do now, having shot in the city of London for so long, are there places that you regularly return to, or do you try not to do that?
I definitely go back to the same places, but I will make different routes, which probably always end up in the West End. So, for example, I hadn't seen the new Battersea Power Station, so I thought, right, let's go and have a look at that, see what that's like, and then walk in from the city in that direction. And then, something like next week, I'll probably start from the East End of London and then walk back into the city that way. So I definitely have a strong sense of kind of belonging in Soho. I love being in there. It's where I worked. It's where I now kind of document. But it's definitely drawn to those. Those are my areas of interest. But I love to just throw myself somewhere where I don't know. Okay, let's just get off at this station and see what happens. So that often happens. Well, as well.
It's an amazing network to be able to do that, isn't it? And I think you could be travelling on the London Underground forever, really, and get off at stations that you've never got off before at. We're so used to following street shooters who see in black and white and making an amazing job of it. But you're firmly a colourist in terms of seeing in colour with your pictures. Why is that?
I just feel that my photography is not as kind of evocative when it's in black and white.
Right.
I've tried, but I just feel there's so much more. Personally, I don't want to offend every black and white photographer.
I'm sure we won't. No, not at all.
I just feel there would be so much of the story for me lost if I didn't have the colours in there.
Yeah.
But then, I would really have to learn. I guess I'm not educated enough about how you take a proper black and white photo, because when I see people who take amazing black and white photography, I guess what maybe puts me off a little bit is the fact that it relies heavily on light. And, light is one of my kind of moving plates. Light is already one of my moving plates, and if I was to make it more difficult, then I'm not sure how my photography would turn out. Definitely be a good challenge for me to do, but I have a thing for colour.
Yeah. Well, in terms of colour, and you mentioned the cinematic. Well, you mentioned the word cinematic, and I think there's a very cinematic feel to your work. Certainly in the colouring of it, a sort of a teal and orange, and occasionally a hint of cross processing. To me, that is. It might not be the way you're processing it. It is part of your signature. How do you go about that?
So I use Lightroom to edit all my images. And for a long time, I used to, I think up until about pre-COVID, I used to edit each image very kind of individually for its mood. And then I would only post one image at a time. It was very like a different process for me. And then I've been working on my solo book, little plug there, for the last few years. And it was through that process that when I was looking at stuff together that I was like, actually, it would be nice if they followed a very light but kind of uniform look and feel. So I have made one preset that I have used since probably since COVID ended. Wow. So
one preset. Wow.
That's it. And then I adjust that.
Right.
Because I don't want much fuss anymore. Just want it. I know if the photo works.
Yeah.
If it's too dark and I'm trying to pull it out, I can clearly see it, and it takes on a different look altogether. And there's a really fine line between, you know, like the reality and then it not looking like reality. And I want it somewhere to sit just, you know, it's real, but then it's been, you know, like you would be watching a cinematic movie. It's been color graded.
Is it a bit like the Colonel's secret recipe that preset is kept locked under in a safe somewhere, never to be shared?
Exactly. I've never actually shared. I mean, I only thought of that like very recently because a lot of people asked me to sell my presets, and I was like, I'd like, no one knows. Like, even if I said, look, just go back to my current feed until January and everything's been done with one preset. Yeah. Like, you know, and everyone's, are you ever going to sell it? I was like, never. So
you've got years to build this, Bal. You can just build this sort of secret one thing. Just take some pictures of a lock and key or one day.
Yeah, exactly. I put a timer on it.
You mentioned the book, and I do want to mention the book. This is a good time to give it a proper, big, hearty, unashamed plug. So go on.
Thank you. So yeah, for the last few years, I think it's probably 3 years, I was approached by a publisher. They said, we'd love to put a book together of your work. And I said, look, if I do a book, I want it to be with just brand new work, stuff that people have never seen before. And so I embarked on this journey, which kind of I came to, sorry, I should tell you what the title of the book is. Yeah. So the title of the book will be London in Transit.
I was going to do it if you didn't do it. Don't worry.
It's London in Transit, and it's basically almost, you know, me documenting the city nights, but using kind of London's iconic buses, taxis, underground to frame these narratives of people just, you know, in transit through the city. So, you know, it's almost a decade's collection of my favorite work, and, you know, moving right up to the very day to today. You know, I might go out and shoot something which will be in it today. So that is something that I have been painstakingly putting together. It's my dream, because when I go into a bookshop and I pick up a old photography book and I see like Piccadilly Circus, and it had real light bulbs on Piccadilly Circus. It's just, there's something, you know, it gives me goosebumps to think what it was like to live in a time like that. You see the fonts and the colors and the way people are dressed and the cars, you know, every era has its own, you know, kind of color palette, as do cars. You can see clearly, it's an eggshell look this season, and last season it was all metallics. So, you know, there's a real way to timestamp your photography. And for me, that's what I really want. I want people to pick this book up in, you know, 50 years and just be really either nostalgic or curious, or inspire them to document their own city in a similar vein. So yeah, it's I'm really excited about it. It's almost coming together. I'm just writing the final bits and pieces. So very, very excited. It's with Trope Publishing and should be out at the end of September, early October.
Do you feel that you're making tomorrow's nostalgia? Is that what goes through your mind when you're making your pictures? You hinted to it there that it probably is.
Well, I feel that it's such a large collection of kind of intricate moments, but they're very softly recognized within a window of London. And, you know, like I say, I do use my community for feedback, and there's certain images you put on and then immediately people are nostalgic. Oh my gosh, me and my husband, this is where he engaged, you know, proposed to me, or this is where we met. And it's those stories that, you know, then suddenly make me look at my images in a complete, wow, I didn't see that. I just saw the beautiful colors of their scarf and their hat, but you saw this other story between, you know, two strangers on the platform. So I love, I just want to invite people in, as long as my images are, you know, invite you in to wonder what the story is. I think that's how people will connect in those various different ways, or at least that's what I would hope.
Well, let's talk about Fujifilm and your relationship with them. I watched your review of the X-T5 online. I love the idea of the fact you travel with your office on your back. I like that as a statement, which includes the camera, of course. Give me an idea of what's in that office. Not much, obviously.
Yeah, so I mean, I like to, and this is all born from my smart photography days, and certainly the way that, I remember when I pulled up in Brazil at the media tent with the rest of the guys ready to make their stuff for the World Cup. Me and my creative partner had 2 rucksacks on our back. The rest of the team had like 10 flight cases full of cameras and equipment. And I looked and I said, I will never be that guy.
Yeah. You didn't feel intimidated then. This actually underlined it, that you did not want to be like that.
No, I felt like I was in the new world and they were in the old world,
right.
To be honest.
Okay.
It was just like, this is what, we can still create great stuff, but we don't need to do this. And that was kind of one of the issues I had with, back in the day with my advertising thing. We put a lot of effort into stuff that's just thrown away, which is exactly where our culture is now. But so in the office, you'll find generally I will have my XT5. There'll be 2 extra batteries, which I'm yet to get onto the second. I've only used 1 extra. Yeah. I'll have an extra SD card in there. And probably if I'm on a client shoot, then I will take my 3 lenses with me, which will be my XF56 1.2 WR, the second generation one, my 33mm 1.4. Yep. And my 16, so that I can kind of get a nice wide, and then if I need something a bit closer, or I've got my telephoto.
I would never find a 50 to 140 in there, would I?
No. I shoot purely with primes. Yeah. And then are there any other? There's probably a few. There's always an umbrella in my bag because that's just the way we are in London. and I've got a little rain case for for the camera, but that's just like a plastic bag that you put on.
And that's it?
Yeah. I mean, if, when I go out normally, it's just me, my camera and 2 batteries. So, but if, for a client shoot, it's 3 lenses is, I mean, when I went to Stockholm, I only took, I think it was the 56 and the 16.
Would you take a laptop with you or an iPad Pro or?
Oh, of course. Yes. Sorry. There is all. Yes.
I knew there was something else in there. I thought there was something missing.
I wasn't sure if we were talking full. Okay. So full kit bag. Yeah. That would be a MacBook Pro. This is the 13-inch version. And then also I have a really cool, let's say a 2 terabyte SanDisk super fast SSD drive. So basically when I'm out on location on a shoot and stuff does need to be edited, this again is the most compact setup I could find and most powerful. It also allows me to edit video shorts very comfortably. So hence I was tempted to get an iPad, but it just couldn't do everything I needed. So I found this was my ideal setup.
My word, that's nothing at all in that bag. You could sit on a Ryanair flight quite comfortably and never have to panic that your bag's not going to fit in the little thing that they have.
Exactly.
You chose Stockholm to make that XT5 film in. I know you love the metro system there. I know that, and I heard that on the film. But what else draws you there? Because, forgive me those who live in Sweden, a best-kept secret by all accounts for street photography, because it's not initially the first place you think of when you think street photography, and that was the place you chose to make the XT5 film in for Fujifilm.
Yes, indeed. So originally when I was thinking of what we would do with the XT5, I think my main focus was I wanted a city full of neons that I'd not shot before, because then I knew there would be good ambient light for me to shoot subjects with, and there would be a beautiful color palette to work with. Yeah. So again, I reached out to my street photography community and said, where are the best neons in Europe, people? And I got back, where was it? It was the 2 most popular answers were Poland, so very surprisingly, right, and Stockholm. Yeah. When I looked into Poland was amazing because it had a real renaissance of putting all their neons back in the city, because they really wanted to just uplift the city, I think after COVID or something. So it was full of neons, which is still on my list of places to go. But then when I heard about Stockholm had the neons above ground, and then it had the incredible subway below.
I know.
That's got more of a visual offering for me, where I don't feel I could really go wrong. So yeah, that's why it was the destination of choice.
And how did the relationship with Fujifilm start then? It is a question that sooner or later I can almost hear people saying, ask him how he become an ambassador, please.
Yes. So Fujifilm actually reached out to me. It was as simple as using their hashtag.
Yep.
So I think originally, like there wasn't a way of talking to Fujifilm for a long time, and then they switched things up, and they were very keen to just do more stuff with people who were engaged with their products.
Yeah.
And I had always thought, I've just naturally been a Fujifilm user since day one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got all the XT series. I've used them for all my client work. Would it not make sense for us to work together on something? And then from there, I think they gave me, so yeah, they recognized a post on Instagram. They got in touch, and then I was invited in to meet them, I think after the second time they posted something of mine on their social channel, and then
the rest is history.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm so curious about new products, learning new things, especially about, I was very curious about taking my work into print. Yeah. It's always been digital. And so then we got together and worked on a couple of projects which showcased their printing capabilities. But at the same time, I was invited into a world of I bumped into David Bailey at the printers that I was using.
Wow.
That's, the insight I was, and that was purely by mistake. I walked into the printers, like, oh, please don't put your smartphone over there. And I was like, that's someone famous, isn't it? And they were like, yeah, that's David Bailey who's printing out his latest stuff. So I got, they put me in places to really educate me into the best way of printing my work, testing out products. And it's just, it's stories that I love to tell. It's not me pretending with, another smartphone, trying to make the best out of it and doing stuff that, aren't really that native to me, i.e. doing a long exposure. Yeah. Whereas I have full confidence in what I'm using. I know I'm getting my hands on the latest. So I'm just excited to see how this can utilize my workflow or complement it.
The printing, that was also something that was at the time of COVID as well, wasn't it? Because you wanted a way to be able to service those that follow you and those that have been asking for work. That's when printing came about for you, wasn't it?
Yes, that's exactly it. You've done your homework, sir.
Yeah, don't look in your cupboard. I'll be in there. But it was a revelation for you probably after all those years, wasn't it? Oh my word! I'm now printing. What's this?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, the fact that it kind of, I'd done an exhibition here and there, and then speaking to my publisher about the work, and then I'm like, hang on, I've got this huge catalogue of work which is just ready to go. I don't need to do anything other than learn this final process to the best of my ability, and then I'll be happy to present it in that way. So it was a really great eye opener. So I think COVID got us all being very creative.
Well, we had to think of different ways of doing things, and you certainly did, didn't you? You might be forgiven with a cursory glance of thinking that your work is mainly candid, but no, you do shoot street portraits, and there's a good representation of that within your photography for InPost, which is like Humans of New York, isn't it? Do you feel as comfortable working that way? I did. Again, that was the reason. The whole reason I took on that project was that it was my first time to actually interact with the people that I shoot. Often, I have various ways of shooting people and them not knowing and, not getting in trouble, touch wood, for my whole career. Yeah. And, the thing that I would sometimes regret is when I'd get back to my computer and have a look at the few frames that I'd taken of them approaching me. There's obviously the initial one of surprise, then there's the pure eye contact, and then there's generally the smile, which, I'm not going to be giving any eye contact, but I would only see that after the event. So when InPost came to me with this project, I was really up for it, because I was like, I would really like to engage and see how people how do they honestly feel when their photo is being taken on the street? And everyone was so lovely. There was obviously people who didn't want to take their photos, but you can really engage, find out how people are feeling and put them at ease. I mean, I did it I think it was over the space of 3 months. So I definitely got more comfortable with it and learned different ways to approach people.
and how to quickly make them comfortable within the 1 or 2 minutes we had to, to make our work.
Well, there's some super pictures in there. You mentioned words you've mentioned, my publisher, you're an ambassador. Third parties are, well, as I see it, queuing up to work with you. There must be a certain amount of pinching yourself going on, Bal, or is it just another day at the office for you?
No, every day, every day. It's just, they're the nightmares that keep me up. When's it all gonna stop? I'm just gonna wake up.
No.
But no, it's it's like I said, it's a very it's not a real situation to be in. I feel my very simple motto is, I know that the more that I put in, that somewhere, and it's the most random thing, it will tweak someone's switch, and they will get in touch, and they will see how can we work together, and it's phenomenal how ridiculous the kind of strings that put us together are, but yet I also love that excitement of it, of not knowing what comes next and how I can make it work.
And our thanks to Mr. Whisper for being our guest over the last couple of episodes. Right, Kev, straight back into questions. It's your turn, sir, from Facebook.
Okay, so I will go up to... There was one from Andy Stonia. Quick question, QQ. Upgrading to the new 23mm and wondered, does the new linear motor use more or less battery power than the old system? Benjamin Beattie actually replied on the Facebook group and said, having used the new 23 with the linear motor on my X-T3 for about 6 months now, I really couldn't say I've noticed an impact on battery life compared to any other lenses. Yeah. It really is exquisitely sharp lens. I feel like I've upgraded megapixels when using it. My answer, I would say yes, it probably does use up a little tiny bit more battery, but no, certainly not anything that I've noticed either. Not that I use 23, but the 18 linear motor and the other lenses with linear motors, I don't feel like they're going through batteries any quicker. So I would say marginal, if anything.
I've just received. I was listening. I've just received my lens. The doorbell went, which I think I managed to hide quite well, but it's arrived, and the driver said is damaged.
Oh no.
Well, the box is just like, it's almost like somebody's ripped it open.
Oh no, did you refuse? You shouldn't have, aren't you meant to not take it? Just send it back?
No, he marked it down as damaged, and therefore you get the insurance.
Oh, okay. Well, if the lens is all right, you don't need any of the boxes anyway.
Well, I think it's pretty well... Yeah.
I'd be surprised if the lens inside is damaged.
How would I? Well, I'll just put it through its paces and find out.
Yeah, you just have to try it.
That's really annoying.
Yeah.
You'll
know when you open the inside box, if it's still securely packaged inside, it'll be all right.
Yeah.
But on a happier note, I also just had a delivery of £636.80.
Oh.
Yeah, from a pick time sale from last week.
That is amazing, Kev.
Yes, and that's not even just made up.
No.
It's just dropped into my QuickBooks right now.
Your delivery was much better than, well, I don't know yet. My delivery might be a great delivery.
My £636.80 is not damaged as far as I can tell.
Yeah. Yours is all profit, mine's all loss. Well, not really loss. Mine's spend, yours is profit.
Yeah. Right. It'll be all right. I'm sure it'll be all right.
I hope so. There's another sub-monitor question here. I'm just going to have to...
Oh, God.
I'm just going to press delete on that one.
Hello? Are we still here?
Yeah.
Hello? I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Are you banging your head?
I'm banging my X Pro 3 and see if I can break my monitor.
Oh, dear.
No, it's definitely a thing, isn't it? There's enough people out there who've had problems with it. So
yeah. Here's one from Mark Adams, from the Adams family. Hi, Neale and Kev. It's the Garlic King of Malmesbury's fault. Oh no, you're in trouble, Kev.
Garlic?
Yeah. Well, you're the. Why are you the Garlic King of Malmesbury? Oh. Is that something you once called yourself?
No, and I clean my teeth at least 3 times a day.
Has Mark Adams been on one of your courses? Has he been on a workshop and you've breathed all over him?
I don't know. Read the question, see where it goes.
I saw an XT5 for sale and now it's mine. What a lovely camera and awesome, can we use awesome, RAW files. However, Lightroom seems to have ground to a halt.
I know why he said garlic.
Not just
because we were talking about garlic, me chomping on garlic for
look at
judo.
this. I've just had a coffee arrive, Kev. Look at that. Now, you and I know that it's... Thank you very much.
It's okay.
Hello, Sam.
No, that's not Sam. That's Thomas.
Oh, hello, Thomas.
Sam's off to work. Thomas has got a day off because it's teacher strike day.
Strike day, yeah. My kids are off as well.
Sorry, what do you want to say?
On the news, they said it might go on to next year.
On the news, they said it might go on to next year, Kev.
It's the excitement of kids when the strikes are on. Oh, they're off Tuesday as well.
Are they? Oh, it's Tuesday as well. That's like a 4-day weekend.
And then it's bank holidays. And then the king's getting married or something. And then there's more bank holidays. And then it's summer holidays.
Thank you. Go on, now get up the chimney. Go and clean something. Kev, did we ever have strikes when we were at school?
We did. I remember school strikes.
No, did
I
we?
do. Yeah, I mean, in the late 70s. I mean, you're obviously thinking about the late 50s, so I don't know about then. But yeah, we did. Garlic was because of the judo and rugby conversation we had. I just remembered.
One we had or one you had?
Yeah, we had one. We had one about chewing garlic, putting people off in judo.
Oh,
and the old front row used to do it in rugby.
Yes. Is that what... I don't remember the rugby reference. I do remember you saying you were going to do that for the judo competition. Is that what they do when you're in the front row of the scrum? No.
Oh yeah. The French used to do it all the time in the Six Nations. They would munch on garlic and raw onions before a match.
I've never heard this in my life.
Yeah.
What a horrible putter-offerer scheme. Yeah. Oh, that must have been horrible. Scrum down, lads. Oh, I don't think so. Thanks very much. I'm going to play fly half today.
Yeah.
Right. What a lovely camera, he says. However, Lightroom seems to have ground to a halt. Not just bi-weekly, but every day. Has the Garlic King had to upgrade his computer to cope with the files? I didn't factor in a new MacBook Pro into the budget. Thanks for the excellent show from Mark Adams. Well, what have you noticed, Kev? I don't have an XT5, so it's not for me.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the XH2 though, doesn't it? With the 40 megapixel sensor.
No. I've got the XH2. No, I've got the XH2S. I am going to get an XH2, but it's the S at the moment, so it's not the same.
So yeah, basically, bigger raw files will put a little bit more strain. But no, my computer's absolutely fine, and so is my laptop actually. But yeah, they will be bigger, and so it will have more of a strain. Simple as that. Yeah. But it's really the file sizes, not the processing power.
Yeah.
Like my tips for Lightroom are the same regardless what you're using. Really, is don't cull in Lightroom. Only take into Lightroom the images you're going to edit and keep. Use something like Photo Mechanic to cull, and then you won't clog up your Lightroom catalog with loads of images that you have no intention of ever using. Make sure that your cache is set big enough in Lightroom preferences. If you've got a big enough drive, I have my cache set to 2 terabytes, which is big. Obviously, you need a big internal hard drive for that. Make sure you're shooting compressed RAW, by the way, as well. You don't want to be shooting uncompressed RAW, because then those files will be enormous mess.
Yeah. Okay, yours.
Mine. Okay. Kevin Rugland says, "Hi, Mr. James and Mr. Mullins.
That's very
I have one technical question. I have a problem getting the focus peak into work on my XH1. I have MF assist on peak. I can't see any yellow around my focus area. Could it be caused by my full manual 7 Artisans lens?"
Well, I don't have an XH1 anymore, but everything he's just described is exactly the way that I would set up my focus peaking.
I'm guessing. I think what's happening here, Kevin, is that because you've got a manual focus lens, you're forgetting to put the XH1 into manual focus on the switch on the front or side, wherever it is on the XH1. I've never had one. And without that, the focus peaking on any Fujifilm camera
doesn't work, does it? Because I found that on my
manual mode, manual focus mode.
I found that on the X Pro 1. I can't see my little, because it's white, isn't it? On the X Pro 1, they didn't have. Did they? They
only have white. Yeah. They might have had red as well, but yeah, they didn't have many other colours.
Yeah, and
that's what my guess is.
That's exactly what happened to me. I had it set. Yeah, very good point. It wasn't on manual, and the moment I flicked the switch to manual, boom, it all worked. Yeah.
The other thing to just double check, if that is the case, switch your film sim to a black and white just to make sure that it's just not a case of not being able to see it much in the colour screen, and you'll be able to see it clearer in the black and white. And so you'll know at least it's working.
We've got one from Mike Miller here. Dear Kev and Neale, I trust that you're both well. This is a question for Kev. I'm just going to sit here and drink my coffee and watch my kids' Latin education suffer, I think, and let you answer all the the questions. Our Jack
Do they
is
do Latin?
no. That's my no, Kev. That's the sort of school that Jacob Rees What's-it-face his kids go to, but not ours, Kev. We are bolted into the comprehensive system.
Well, I did Latin in school, in fairness, but not for very long and not very well at all.
At a Welsh school?
Yeah, we didn't do Welsh. We did Latin.
What?
The languages I did in school were Latin, French, German, and Spanish.
Blimey, you're multilingual, Kev.
No, I can't speak any of them. Well, I can speak a bit of Spanish, but for GCSEs, when it came to GCSE choices, we had to choose either French or German, and I chose French, and I was absolutely rubbish at it, and I don't think I did very well with that. I think I got a D.
So did you then just choose drawing after that?
Did drawing, yeah. Drawing and slow speaking.
I'm surprised that you weren't taught Welsh as part of the curriculum in a Welsh school.
It is now. Like, shortly after I left, it's on the curriculum, but not when I was there. Nope.
No, I always just say Latin because whenever it used to be more a case when they were much, much younger. And if they were going to have a day off school or something, Grandma would say, they shouldn't miss a day of school. They should be in. Only keep them at home, rather, if their legs hanging off. Every other reason, send them in. And I used to say to Grandma, it's okay. His Latin won't suffer. And that was just something we said in the family, but no. This is the question for Kev, since he's done at least one YouTube film about photo restorations. Yes, you have. I remember it. I have a large number of photographs and negatives that I need to scan and restore that are part of my wife's family. Going back, get this, Kev, this is legacy work, over 100 years.
Oh, brilliant.
The main hurdle that I have is giving a name or a label to various issues that come up whenever I scan something. Once I know what to call the phenomenon that I have in front of me, I can then begin to search for a way to fix the problem. Are you keeping up? My question is this. Is there a resource available, either printed or digital, free or for purchase, that is a glossary of terms or a troubleshooting guide for the digital restoration of analog images, prints or negatives? I'm not looking for a how, or how-to rather. I'm looking for something that diagnoses the symptoms and identifies what it is.
Yeah, that's a good question. And no, I have no idea is the answer. Yeah, because there are lots of different, there's like scratches, tears, blemishes, color fades, all kinds of things. Glossary of terms, don't know. Maybe create one, create a PDF of it and sell it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Mike I know Mike as being a very thorough, very researched man. And I dare say, when did he send this in? It was only recently. He's probably solved it already. And he'll send us back the what he's done. And we'll read that out. And Mike, then you'll be an honorary member of the cast.
Yeah, of the Photo Scratching Society. I don't know. It's a really interesting question. There probably is, though, if you look deep enough. But yeah.
And I think, actually, Kev, I've run out of questions. I told you the email was looking very slight.
Okay. In which case, I'm going to click on View Previous Questions.
Yes.
Paul Waring from 23 weeks ago. And we have talked about things like this before, but maybe things have changed. Yeah. Question for you both. What's the strangest thing that has ever happened to you at a wedding?
Well,
you go.
Funniest thing, I suppose, is that cake that went, the profiterole. But I think we've talked about that one before, haven't we? When I did the cake cut, and I advised them, if you want to cut a profiterole cake, what you need to do is chop through it. And they did. And they met a dowel that was running up the middle of it, and the whole cake went over.
I remember a wedding a long time ago where the bride had asked me to go early to bridal prep,
right?
Because she wanted to take some very special pictures of her.
Oh, I remember you telling. I remember you. What did you do? I forget what you did.
I politely refused.
Did you?
Yeah, I politely refused. I didn't think it was the right thing to do personally.
No.
Some people might have done it. I didn't. Yeah. So that was quite a weird thing. Strangest thing.
Yeah.
An email from the bride the day before the wedding. You couldn't come and take some pictures beforehand, could you? Just so I could give them to the groom afterwards.
Some what pictures? Thank you very much. Oh, the dog's ears have just gone up. No, that's don't Barney.
Well, tell Barney I haven't got the pictures to show him, I'm afraid.
Yeah, he's looking very interested. He's. What are you doing? Oh no, he's scratching now. Well, stop doing that. Do your dog scratch all the time? He's never mind to bark a lot. He just becomes a scratch a lot.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you
maybe he scratch now. I'm scratching.
Do you need that tablets that we're giving him? The scratch tablets.
Yeah.
The scratch tablets.
Yeah. No, it's all right. I'll just drag my ass across the floor later. It'll be fine.
Fortunately, he doesn't do that. That was something our Jack Russell used to do. Anyway, we've come broadly off topic. Go on, keep digging through that Facebook.
Okay, right, here we go. This is from 48 weeks ago.
I thought you said you had loads.
I know, but it's quite random. I really need to I keep meaning to put a new thread up, but then I feel bad about the ones we never answered.
Right.
So maybe I'll do another one and keep these on kind of the side burner.
Yeah.
It's a shame you can't just export them all into a clever little system. Right. Anyway, Patrick Gomez says, "Hello there, guys. I have a question. I have an X70, a very used and beaten X70. Join the club, Patrick. I got it from a photography contest and shot a bunch of photos and made a time-lapse feature. I guess only few knew that you can just plug it into a power bank and it can shoot time lapses, even overnight. Obviously, by now, this camera has sentimental value to me. It's all bruised up with dents and damages and a broken screen. Focus dial that is hard to turn. Can Fujifilm refurbish it the same as 6 years ago, or 6 years back when I first got it?
Yeah.
Based from my experience in Fujifilm repair here in the UK, they will only repair what is indicated to be repaired, i.e. fixable. I wish it to be as pristine as possible. There we go. First of all, why keep it as it is? That's the best. That's the whole point of it. It's like it's got the battle scars, and I suppose.
You're a bit like with your cameras. You're a bit like I am with my camera bags. I'm happy after I've dragged them through the dirt and made them look like they've been on some sort of world tour. And you like doing that with your cameras.
Well, I don't do it on purpose. I just don't have a problem if they get a bit bashed about.
Well, if you had dividers, Kev, it wouldn't happen. Shall we start that debate again?
God. Yeah, so I would like the answer. I'm fairly sure, although you would want to check with Fujifilm Repair Centre in Bedford, I'm fairly sure they can't do that. They like for an X70, they wouldn't be able to do that. And I'm also sure that they couldn't really do that for modern cameras either, or ones that are still in the mix. You know, they can fix things. They could replace a top plate, for example, or, you know, fix a broken battery door. But I'm not sure they can effectively take every part off and put new parts on. So no, I think your best bet is to keep an eye out for a second-hand, newish looking one. And I've seen a few of them coming up actually, X70s. People seem to be putting them back on the marketplace, maybe because they're trying to get an X100V. I don't know, but no is the answer. I would say no. Anyway, double check with Fujifilm.
I met up a couple of weeks ago now. By the time this episode goes out, with Sean Tucker in his part of the world in Yorkshire, which is where he now lives. We went for a photo walk, and he was using he got a GR3 which he converted to infrared for a particular project that he's working on. I thought, what a great idea. I'm very tempted to because I like the look of the infrared projects that I've seen of all kinds, and I'm very tempted to buy a Fujifilm camera and send it to the company. I can't remember the company he used now, but he did tell me to have it converted. I'm wondering what body I would, maybe an XT2 or maybe an X Pro. Maybe I did love my X Pro 2s. I lamented selling those. Maybe an X Pro 2 would be fun to do that with. Have you ever thought about converting? I'm sensing by your enthusiasm that the answer is going to be no.
No, I have to say, infrared photography is as interesting to me as pictures of seas when they look like milk.
Okay.
It does not float my boat, but of course that's my personal thing. But I'm never working infrared. Also you can just press the infrared button in Photoshop.
Not the same. Okay, I'm not going to win you over on this one.
No, not really. But I get it. Look, one man's. What is it? One man's mile is another man's inch, or something.
No,
but Patrick, you can also perhaps you could try Fixation. By the way, that just came to my mind. Fixation in Vauxhall in London. They do a lot of repairs and stuff like that. So check out Fixation. They might be able to do something with your X70 for you.
Yeah, they're very good at fixation. There's only one thing that I've taken to them across the years that they've not been able to fix, and that was my 50mm 1.2 Canon lens, which I adored. It was I think you had that piece of glass.
I did. I loved that lens also, yeah.
What a lens. But unfortunately, the ultrasonic motory thing, I think it got a few too many bangs, and then it wouldn't work anymore. So I took it along to Fixation, and they gave me the bad news that it would probably cost more to fix and get a new, a used one. So that was the end of the lens. But they were really good. I can't remember her name. I've spoken to her a few times, so I feel a bit embarrassed I can't remember. Not that she's necessarily listening to this, but she was really, really good. And she phoned me up and she said, now, I want you to know that we're not throwing the lens away. We're putting it out to pasture so it can eat grass for the rest of its life with all the other lenses that no longer work. Because this thing had travelled the world with me. And I put the phone down. I thought, I feel so much better. Thank you. Thank you for lying to me. Although I like to believe my 50mm lens is now out in open countryside, chomping on meadow grass and enjoying its time with other lenses.
It is indeed.
Right, we've got time for a QQ, and that is it for this week. What's it going to be, Kev?
It's still, I've gone off.
Yeah.
I've gone off to something else. Right, QQ. I did just see one. Oh, no, it's gone away. We do need to be quick as well, because you and I have got a call to jump onto.
We've got
Hello, gentlemen. This is Michael Dries. Hello, gentlemen. I'm wondering what film simulations will be included with the new XT5. I saw during the presentation there was a menu showing both classic neg and nostalgic neg. I would love to see both of these sims in the new camera. Yes, they were.
That's how I like to deal with a QQ, Kev.
Yeah.
It's
there
done.
We go.
Yeah. Sorted. Right, well, questions, please. Send them into Facebook. Kev will wait for about 48 weeks, and then he'll answer one. Are you going to put a new post up then, Kev?
I think I'm going to have to. Yeah, I'm going to have to. There is some, there's, it's too hard. Facebook is not an easy interface. Keep going up and down.
No.
Maybe perhaps we should think of another way of doing it. Anyway, whatever. Yes. Does not matter.
So if you want to leave a question for Facebook, how is the way that you do it at present, Kev? You go to the
facebook.com, click on go to the Fujicast Facebook group. We have about just over 2,000 members now, and there is a pinned thread at the top, which is called Questions for the Show thread. Pop them in there. Yep.
Perfect. And if you'd like to email in, please click at fujicast.co.uk. Otherwise, I'm going to sit here and just bat everything to Mullins. Click at fujicast.co.uk. Or
fill in the form on the website.
Oh, yeah, fill in the form on the website. We will see you in a couple of weeks' time. We've got a very important, could be an exciting call, Kev, but I'm not sure. That might have just thwarted the excitement. That's probably given it the kiss of non-luck. But we might have some news for you. Who knows? We'll see you in a couple of weeks' time. Bye, Kev!
Bye.
The Fujicast is an independent loading zone production. Email the show with your questions and words of wisdom to click@fujicast.co.uk. Email any complaints and political nonsense to our wives, who will deal with your comments in their own good time and in their own good way.